Um, but today's class, we're gonna try to do a pretty good job of releasing and softening the front body that's gonna allow us then when we do our forward fold. And I was thinking about this, like Maria, because I know you were joining today and that you have like low back problems, that then we can feel like more relaxed and softer as we stretch out the glutes. So hopefully as we get going, you're gonna see what I mean. But where we're gonna start, right? And this is the one that I know sometimes we have a hard time like setting it up a little bit, okay? Is facing the top of your mat and coming into Sukhasana with your right shin in front of your left. Okay. That looks really good, Zubair. Okay. And the way that I feel like I've been helping people more get into this is it's kind of like feeling that like my foot is like a block or like a support for the knee. Okay. And then we use our hands in your upper thighs. I want you to internally rotate them. So that means that you take that flesh, the skin, you press it down and roll it out. And it should feel like you get a better connection through the backs of the legs. Now, please start to drop back onto your elbows and pause. And if you're anything like me, if you've got some tightness in the front of your hip here, my knees started to lift up. I want to see if I can kind of keep relaxing my knees down. And then I've got the flesh of my buttock kind of getting in the way here. So I've got to tuck my tailbone under a little and like draw the flesh of the buttocks down, especially like Maria, right? I want you to make sure you feel like your low back gets to be long as you lower all the way down here. Okay. So our actions should be that our knees are falling forward and down. The frontal hip points are lifting away from the tops of your legs so that the hip flexors feel like they're opening. And then please stretch your arms up overhead and grab opposite arm, opposite foot. Okay, and then I like to think of myself like a very long rectangle here. My knees are the front two corners. My elbows are the back two corners. And I try to stretch that out and lengthen here. Good morning, Kendall. Close your eyes, everybody. Okay, so we start class a lot of times like with the bottoms of the feet together and the knees apart. That's great. But this should be a slightly different feeling. And then with your eyes closed, arms up overhead, it actually starts to feel like a little bit of a chest and shoulder opener. Okay. Now, I've been thinking of my body as like a bottle of salad dressing. And it's kind of like all week long, someone has been shaking that salad dressing bottle. And there's been a lot of movement in my physical body. There's been a lot of kind of shaking in like my emotional state and in my mind. So as you come onto the mat here, I want you to start to get this feeling of settling, right? It's like when you put the bottle down and all the heavy stuff off the bottom. And then the thing is with settling, you guys, is it doesn't happen quickly, right? It takes a moment. Have some patience as you settle down into the pose. The longer you stay, see if any more space opens as you stretch long through the belly. And then please inhale and exhale. Again, breathe in, breathe out. And we'll take one more. Inhale, exhale. Okay, nothing changes about your legs. Release your hands from the elbows. Prop yourself all the way back up to come to seated. If you need to internally rotate your thighs, we're crossed at the shins, Sukhasana. Stretch your arms up, interlace your fingers, flip your palms. So the way we were drawing our elbows back, try to draw your arm bones back as you lift your chest, and then twist. Left hand, outside edge of right knee, right fingertip back behind you. If someone were to drop a fishing line straight down from the crown of your head to your pelvic floor, there's like a hook, and you want to feel like you're lifting up from your pelvic floor, lifting up through your diaphragm, lifting up through the base of the throat, the upper palate, and the crown of the head as you twist. Now, keep the twist, you guys. Look forward over your right knee, and then in the direction of your right knee, on that 45-degree angle, begin to fold in. Okay? So you may or may not be able to hook your chin over your right knee. Doesn't really matter. But that's the direction that we're going. And then I like to lengthen my left arm and out on the diagonal. Yep. So Kendall, take your right hand forward and then use that to help you then stretch your left arm more forward. And then the final few breaths here for all of you is if I was there, I would step on your left hip crease. And I would push that left hip crease to the floor as you extend up and out. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Lift back up through center. Yeah. Take your hands back behind you. Step your feet wide into the mat. Keep the center of your chest lifted. Keep your upper body stable. And just windshield wiper out your knees a few times. Okay, so some people might want to lift the hands. We want to keep the hands grounded. And then after you've loosened that up, left shin bone crosses over the right. Sukhasana, second side. Directly look, feet are underneath the knees. We're going to use this shape, you guys. So when I look down in between my thighs, I see that upside down, equilateral triangle. Internally rotate your upper thighs so that you have a big base. And then please drop down onto your elbows. Pause. Yes, great, Zuba. Tuck your tailbone under, right? It almost just happens naturally that you want to feel your low back get longer. And then you come to lie all the way down, arms up overhead. In the same way that you're crossing your shin bones, you're crossing your forearms, holding into the elbows, and lengthening this out. So you might even feel that your hips stay on the mat, but you can like walk your shoulder blades back a little bit more. And then settle, soften. To get into the pose, I was actually putting quite a bit of effort around my neck and shoulders. And start to let the heaviness sink into the back of the brain, into the back of the body. And you could think like a bottle of salad dressing, the way it starts to separate, let the heavy stuff drop out and let the front of the body feel clearer and lighter and more open. Inhale, exhale. Release the hands from the elbows. Keep your legs. Try not to move them as you help press yourself back up. Readjust the upper thighs. Have a nice stable base. And then right hand outside edge of left knee, twist to the left. Yeah, other way, Maria. Okay. Feel the center of your body, that plumb line. Go straight down to your pelvic floor. Draw the energy up, up. It looks like we're squeezing up into the brain, lifting our energy as you twist. Inhale. Exhale, and then we look forward and we look out over that left knee, and then we start to walk the hands forward at that 45-degree angle, holding out over the left knee. Belly button's turning towards the left thigh. Some of you might be able to hook the chin over that left kneecap as you stretch and extend. Right arm out on the diagonal. Yep. And then the final few poses is remembering that I would be stepping on your right hip crease. There'd be no separation between the right sitting bone and the mat. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Come back up through center. Hands come back behind you. Fingertips are turned forward this time as you walk your hands back. Put a nice generous bend to your elbows. Step your feet into the mat. Lift your chest. Look forward. Inhale. Take your time, you guys. Fill your chest on the inhale. And then as you push into the foundation, lift your hips up. Settle the awareness into the feet and into the hands. Like the oil separating, like the front of the body lifts and the hands and the feet settle down. Good. Hips to the mat. Inhale. Exhale. Go ahead. Lift up again. Use the strength of your hamstrings, your butt muscles to lift you up for 2. Hips all the way down. Inhale. Take your time. Right? You can take just a moment to settle back into the body and lift up here. Good. Reverse tabletop. So it's the knees forward, shoulders back. Keep the side body long. Take your sitting bones down to the floor, and then please cross. Left ankle over the top of your right knee. Good. Left hand threads through that hole. Again, that's your upside down triangle, and grab your right shin bone. As you hold on to your right shin bone, rock back into chest. Can you guys feel that almost like a cat pose? So I'm kind of having to push my right foot into the mat, tuck my tailbone under, and then press your shoulders down away from your ears. My arms are straight. I'm kind of really like hanging back. Now, as you bend your elbows, inhale, try to lift, try to sit to the top of your sitting bones. You guys are going to start to feel this. It's kind of like that pigeon pose feeling in your outer left hip. Rock back, please. Chin to chest. Tuck it under. Good. Rounding your spine. Use an inhale breath to sit tall. Pubic bone flows down. Yep, you guys sit up, sit up, sit up. Lift the chest away from the belly button. Exhale, rock back. Yep. And you have one more. So can you try to really use pulling on that right sit bone or pulling on the right shin bone to sit tall? Good. Now keep your legs. Take your hands back behind you. Your right foot, the one that's on the floor, it heel toes over to the outside edge of your left hip. In your left foot, step down. Left knee points up towards the ceiling. Make sure your left sitting bone is on the floor. Right arm hugs around. Interlace your fingers and draw your knee in towards your chest. And then use pushing and pulling the knee and the elbow together to sit a little bit taller. Good, Kendall. Lift those bottom back ribs in and up. And then when you're ready, left fingertips back behind you. Right elbow outside edge of left knee. And now you should have some more leverage to twist in. One. Nice and tall as you inhale. Exhale two. Keep trying to separate, right? The stuff that feels good, like uplifting, and then any tension, think of it releasing and like settling out of the body. Great. You guys come back to center, unwind that, step your feet into the mat, hip width distance. We're just going to do it one time, okay? Squeeze the shoulder blades back. Any of you who've been sitting at a computer a lot this week, this is really good work for you, right? To strengthen the back body, lift the chest, fill the lungs, inhale. Exhale, lift your hips up, reverse tabletop. Good, stay there for a moment. If you like to drop your head back, some people that feels really good on the throat. It's like the opposite of pec neck. And then take your hips down to the sticky mat. Good. Right ankle, cross it over the top of your left knee. Great. I feel balance between both sitting bones. That was a ton of last week's work, keeping even weight through the hips. Right arm thread through. Grab your shin bone, please. Yep. And then you find it a little bit easier to hang backwards first. You're going to tuck in, round, shoulders down away from your ears. And then once you're connected to breath, inhale, sit up. Right knee presses forward from your outer hips to your armpits. You're lengthening. Remember, like the rectangles, always pulling the corners away from each other. And then round in, squeeze the belly button back towards your spine. Round, 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 round. Touch tailbone. Use your breath. Inhale, sit tall. Nice. With the heart up past the shin bone. Exhale back. Good, Maria. Yep. With breath, you guys. One more time. Inhale. Come all the way up. Try to lift up out of your low back. Keep your leg. Take your hands back behind you as you heel toe. Left foot outside edge of right hip. Right foot steps into the mat. And then your left arm comes around and you hug your right knee in. Okay. Maria, turn towards me. Yep. Turn to the right. No, you're yep, right sitting bone down. And then Kendall, if I'm there, I will put my thumb in your right hip crease and pull the right hip crease down. So sit up taller. Push my elbow and knee together. Use that resistance. And then you guys, right fingertips back behind you. Left elbow outside edge of right knee. And twist. Right? So, like yoga basics class, like keep it simple in that you're trying to create like a certain feeling, like a clarity. I'm not trying to shake you guys up, like moving from pose to pose to pose too fast. I want you to settle everything down, drop heavy through the knee, through the foot, through the hip, through the fingertips, as you try to like lengthen and lift up through the chest. Inhale. Exhale. Good. You're going to come back through center. That top right leg swings around. And we should be ready for tabletop position. Okay, in tabletop, bring your knees together. Take your feet wider. Press your shoelaces down. So essentially, you're making a V. with your shin bones, right? Your knees are together, your feet are wide, and then cow pose. And I cannot tell you guys how hard this is for me. I can barely do this. Knees squeeze together. No separation between the knees. Feet, trying to take your feet wider and rotate your hips more to get cow pose. So that's that internal rotation, pubic bone pulling back. Very good. Keep your knees together. Now bring your ankles together. Shins are all the way together here. Inhale. And then pick up your left knee, put it behind the outside edge of your right knee, cross your upper thighs. Good. Take your feet a little bit wider. Inhale. And now we're just going to pulse back one, and we don't stay. I just want you to feel stretching your mat forward with your hands to push your hips back. Please lift up. Inhale. Exhale. Push back for two. So anybody with low back pain, right? This usually really helps. And one more. Inhale up. And it's a lot of scooping the tailbone under, really rounding. Remember the feeling of stretching the chin up and over towards the kneecap. And then lift back up through center, unwinding your leg. Tabletop position. Now it should feel a little bit better as you tuck your toes under cow pose, less tension, and send your hips spin back, down dog. A lot of times, like if we release kind of the butt muscles first, the glute, we can actually feel that we kind of release the head of the hamstring as well. And then all of you, right, like shake it up a little bit. That's fine, right? Shake head, shake shoulders, shake the bum, wiggle the hip. But then try to settle in a little. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, knees down to the mat, tabletop, knees together, point your toes, take your feet wide. So what my inner dialogue is I make up these classes. I don't know why. I do stuff I hate. This is so painful for me, okay? But it means that I must need it. So try to keep squeezing your knees together. Try to keep taking your feet wider. And then as you press your ankles down, cow pose. Yeah, so it's just a part of the hips that we don't usually rotate into, dropping the belly, lifting the chest. Pubic bone through the inner upper thighs. Inhale. Exhale, keep knees together, squeeze ankles together. Good. And then pick up that whole right shin bone, bring your right knee outside edge of left knee. So that's Gomukhasana legs. Press down through the tops of your shoelaces. Inhale. And then exhale, pulse back. One. Inhale, pull it forward. When my left leg is on top, I got to push my bum a little bit more to the right in a counter action. Good, because tightness in that left hip is pulling me to the left. Try one more time, pressing back. Try to get that right sitting bone closer to your right heel as you sit back. Good, and then pull it all the way forward. Unwind your leg. Tabletop position. And it should feel a lot easier now, you guys, to tuck your toes and take a nice, big, full, deep breath. Inhale, cow. Exhale, send hips up and back, down dog. Pedal that out as much as you need it. Taking out your head. Walk your hands back towards your feet, back of your mat. Bend your knees. And with a nice heavy head, you're going to roll up through your spine. Okay. So I ask you all to get like a pillow from your bed or like from your couch. That's fine. And we're going to stand at the top of the mat. Yep, good. And then you're going to bring that right to the top of your legs. Bend your knees a little. Press the pillow against your upper thigh. Try to lengthen your core forward. Like, so try to stretch your ribs forward and then hang over that bolster. Grab opposite arm, opposite elbow. So I've wedged it very deep up into my thighs. And Maria, this should stretch out your low back a lot. Do you feel that? Yeah. And actually for everybody in today's class, yeah. I like so everybody just adjusted, right? Because you're like, right, hold on. Now I feel what she's trying to say. Do you feel that, Zubair, like in the low back, in the lumbar spine? Yep. You can kind of keep like wedging it up there. And then I gotta shut up and be quiet here for a second. So for 30 seconds, you guys can just breathe, hang, settle, bend your knees more, Zubair. Bend your knees more, more. Dizlet and Izpir, more. Bend your knees. Come on. Bend. Sit lower. Yeah, you're gonna feel it more in your low back there. Squeezing the abdominals, letting the entire upper body hang. I find this incredibly strong. Three, two, one. Let the pillow drop out, you guys. Good. Remove it off to the side. Plant your palms and step back, please, into downward facing dog. Yeah. Okay. Really nice way to bring a lot of blood to the brain, to stretch out the spine, and to help people with low back problems feel a little less compressed there. Inhale, step forward into plank, lifting your heels. You can always put your knees down as you bend your elbows, lower straight down onto your belly. Point your toes. Inhale, curl up, cobra. And then exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Good. Step your right foot forward up in between your hands. Lunge. Yep. Put your back left knee down. You could just pause on fingertips. Okay, so we already did a little bit for the hip flexors, the front of that left hip. Let it open a little more deeply. And then step your back foot forward. Hands to shins. Inhale, open. Remember when you're like kind of lengthening out over the bolster. And then exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Take your forward fold here. You have to do like your hands on your ankles. Try to press yourself in here. And then hands to hips. Elbows up, flat back, heart open, and press to stand. Okay, with your elbows back behind you, you guys, elbows squeezing in. Bend your knees, interlace your hands back behind you. And with your knees bent, it should be a little bit easier to take your arm bones back. So go into cow pose in your hips. Soften the knees, lift your chest. So I know Kendall spends a lot of time at the computer. So this is the stuff like softening your hip creases, feeling the spine. So don't just do what I say. Feel the spine. Move deeper into the center of the body and your chest lift. Inhale. And then exhale, please fold in. Take your arms up and over and feel free to shake a little. I want you to shake like that salad dressing bottle and then try to settle in to the bottoms of the feet and to the legs, releasing tension. Fingertips to the mat, left foot, that back lunge. Put that back left knee down. Open up the chest here. Inhale, lengthen. Step back, downward facing dog. Plant your hands, work on the longer spine. Putting a lot of the work back into the legs. Inhale, shift forward into plank pose, shoulders over your wrists. Exhale, bend your elbows, lower straight down to your belly. Point your toes. Inhale, curl up cobra. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog, and you're there. One. Settle into the hands and the feet. Inhale. Exhale two. Think like oil and vinegar, right? Separate the body. What wants to be lifting up, getting light, feeling free. What feels better when you ground it and stabilize it. And then left foot steps forward up in between your hands, lunge. Good. Put that back right knee down, rise to fingertips, lift the chest, open, step your back foot forward. Hands to shins. Inhale, lengthen the chest, open. Yep. Remember what it was like to try to stretch long through the low back to take the ribs over that bolster. And then exhale, try to take that length as you fold in Uttanasana. Yep, drop the head. Maybe you can rest your rib cage on your thighs. Yep, all of us here. It doesn't kill any of us to have that extra breath and really lengthening your hamstrings today, you guys. And then hands to hips, elbows up, flat back, and lift to rise. I'm going to keep my hands at my hips so I can squeeze my elbows back, bend the knees, soften at the front of the hip, interlace the hands back behind you, and try to open your chest here. Right. And so I really don't mind if you try to like exaggerate it. Right. Press the pinky edge side of the hands back. Press your shoulders back. Try to pop your heart up. More I bend my knees, the more I rotate my hips, the more my spine moves. Inhale. And then exhale. Kind of waterfall, kind of cascade. And feel free to shake, rinse, like mix things up. Where do you feel tension? Shake it out of the body and then settle. Inhale. Exhale, fingertips to the mat. Right foot steps deeply back, lunge. Back right knee down, lift chest. Inhale to open. Exhale, plant palms. Downward facing dog. Good. So it's just like when you were at the top of the mat. If you soften at the back of the knees a little bit, you soften your hip creases. Yes, do better. Good. Yeah, we want that area to be soft as the back body stretches, not hard. Inhale forward into plank. Bend over. You can always put your knees down. Keep your pubic bone always on the floor. When you just inhale up into cobra, and it's like separating, like the lower body. So like Zubair, actually everybody, your pubic bone came up off the mat. Let's try to keep the pubic bone on the floor and lift the chest. Try that, Kendall. Yeah, I like that so much better. And then press back, downward facing dog. Close your eyes if you need to. There's just been something really different about my practice. I don't care, right? I can tell you anything. I can give you so many little micro adjustments. But if you don't feel it, like feel stretch, what would you have to do? Feel open, feel light. Okay, lift your right leg up towards the ceiling, three-legged down dog, bend right knee, roll right hip open. Good. We did this a lot last week. We put a forearm on the inside of that right knee and use it to press the legs open. And then step right foot forward up in between your hands, low lunge. Okay, and then you guys have your double blocks around? Can we grab our double block? All right, and then I just want you to have them close by. Okay, so I've got them on New York style. They're just close by, hands at your hip, and step your left knee up in towards your chest. Nice. Now we did this at the beginning of class. Left ankle over the top of your right knee. Soften your hip flexors as you sit down and back. And then I'm going to use the block this morning, right? I don't want to balance. Like I don't want to have to work on balance. Right? I want to work on pulling the knees in towards the chest, sitting the hips lower, letting my left knee roll open. Remember, we did this from seated, and we were like pulling on the shin bone and lengthening the spine. Yeah. Right. And then again, what would you have to do not to avoid the feeling of the stretch in the hip, but to instead really dive into it, go into the stretch, bend your right knee deeper, sit down and back. Hey, yeah, Kendall, good. Sink into it. This area, if you sit all day, it becomes like, I'm going to use the word like dead, right? It gets very turned off. Stops getting circulation. It just kind of gets numb. And then here we go. Hands to hip. Left knee comes in towards your chest. Yep, I want you to work the balance. Arms up. And then it's that transition. Left foot back, runners drop, hands to the mat, low lunge. Good. Please put your back left knee down. Again, now take your block New York style underneath your left hand, right elbow onto your right knee, and press it forward. Okay. Now, please point your left toe and press your left shoelaces down. And press the center of the top of your left ankle down. And press the center of your left shin bone into the mat. And the more you press the entire distance from the left kneecap to the left toes down into the mat, see if you can get more stretch. And then let that oil and vinegar, let that separate as your lower body does the work, as the lower body does the settling. Let the breath, let the heart, let that float up freely. Hands to the mat, stretch back. Downward facing dog. Does it feel like a softening at the tops of your thighs? Inhale forward into plank. Bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, lift up if you want your upward facing dog, if your spine feels ready. And stretch back. Down dog. Settle in there. Heels down, sitting bones up. One. Down dog. Inhale. Exhale, two. Inhale. Exhale for three. Lift and extend, left leg up and back, three-legged down dog. Yeah, take your time, you guys. A little more length through that right leg. Good, Kendall. And then step left foot forward up in between your hands, lunge. Okay, we get light on our fingertips. Start to use your legs, hands to hip, as you draw your right knee in towards your chest. Good. Flex right ankle. Cross right ankle over the top of your left knee. That's your external rotation. And then keep bending at your left ankle joint. Keep bending your left knee joint. Keep bending at the hip. And then use your block to balance here. Now we do this, you guys, all the time on the floor, right? We lay down, back of our hip, back of our shoulders, back of our head are flat on the floor. The rib cage should be pulling through. And then we thread our hand through that hole and we squeeze the knees in towards our chest. So squeeze your chest towards your knees here until you feel opening in that right hip. One. Take your time. Inhale. Exhale, two. Two hips are pulling back. Two armpits are pulling forward. We want to keep a lot of space in that rectangle. Good. And then as you push down into your left foot, hands to hips, right knee lifts up in towards your chest. Inhale, arms up. And then exhale, step your right foot all the way back. Lunge. Try to work that transition. Good. Exactly, Zubair. Put your right knee down. And then you can put a block underneath your right hand so that you can lift up. Point your right toe. Press your 5 toenails down. Press your shoelaces down. Press the center of your right ankle down. Center of the shin bone. I was there. I would put my hands on your calf muscles and like pancake them down to the floor. And then the more that settles, the more the chest rises. Inhale. Exhale, go for the psoas stretch. Release your hands, step back. Down dog. Take it out, you guys. Should be feeling a little bit looser now. Any more rotation of the hips over the tops of your thighs? Inhale forward into plank. Bend elbows. You can either come all the way down or halfway chaturanga. Inhale to curl up cobra. Exhale, send your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Good, you guys, we just have one kind of more active thing, okay? So we've really been targeting the butt muscles, right? Those big, thick, right, that actually pull and cause compression in the low back. Take your right leg up, bend right knee, roll right hip open. And then right foot steps forward up in between your hands for the lunge. Okay? Set up for warrior one. So step your left foot over to the left side of your mat and ground your left heel down. So it's a wider base. Then I look forward and I try to kind of square everything off like I would in like a tabletop. Curl the tailbone forward like a cat pose. And then lift to rise, warrior one. Okay, so in a warrior one, Maria, put your left heel down so you don't have to worry about balance. Yeah, good. And then the big part of warrior one, you guys, is stretching that front left hip flexor. That feeling that we've been trying to create here as you lift up out of your low back. And then the other thing we've been working on is interlacing your hands behind your hips. Right? Because I know Zubair, Kendall, you guys are a lot of computer users now. Open your chest. Feel that fullness. Pull the arm bones in the opposite direction and then humble warrior as you fold down and in. The humble warrior, now I'm using the heaviness, the settling of my head, my shoulders, my hands, my torso, my spine to squeeze me deeper into the stretch in your right hip. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Hands to the mat. Downward facing dog. Okay? And then I want you to decide based on your energy level today, if you've already been shaken up enough all week, stay here, settle more. If you need more movement, take a vinyasa. So forward into plank, chaturanga, up dog, or just settle. Final side. Left leg lifts. Bend left knee, roll left hip open. Right? Some level of like enjoyment, some satisfaction as you pull some tension out of the inner leg. And then please step left foot forward, lunge. Spin your back right heel to flat so that we don't have to worry about balance. And so I sometimes I even step it in a little bit. And then lift all the way up, warrior one. And we should be in this like pelvic rotation in our back left hip that you get the hip flexor stretch. Interlace the hands behind your hip. Work moving the spine deeper into the center of the body. Inhale, open. And then exhale, humble warrior, folding in. Yeah, I always look underneath my body and I try to get the outside of my right hip in line with my right ankle. I'm pushing my hips to the right. The more I push my hips to the right, I try to sink down and in. Good. Hands to the mat. Downward facing dog, you guys. Pedal out your legs. You have one more time of making that really mindful choice. Either feel settled in your down dog or take a vinyasa. Good. Knees to the mat. Okay. And then you're gonna turn and face me and bring whatever you chose as like your pillow or your cushion. Okay. Then we create this half swastika. So right shin bone forward, left leg back. Exactly. Just from a directional standpoint, Zubair, turn all the way. Bring your right knee in line with your right hip. Yes. And then move your left knee back more. Good. Okay. So we can kind of look left knee in line with left hip. There we go. Okay. And then you're going to take your bolster and you bring it vertically in line with the center of your right leg. Okay. Right knee is on the floor. Now, twist and frame your pillow with both hands. And then you want to push into the back hand. Frame the pillow, Kendall. Put your left hand on the outside. Yeah, so there you go. Okay, now press your left knee down into the mat. So that's your anchor. Think up dog, you guys. Think cobra. Pull, yeah, Kendall, good. Pull the belly long. Pull the chest long. And then keep trying to twist over to the right as you lower all the way down. And like, I want the pillow to support the belly, the ribs, the chest. Left ear. Yeah, so yeah, make an executive decision. If your rib cage twisted enough, if your shoulders twisted enough, maybe you can turn your head the right, but you decide what's appropriate for your neck. Inhale, exhale. Now I'm putting the timer on you guys. You're here for 2 minutes. So there's a lot of visualization, right? Like you could think of like murky water and the sediment falling out of it, and it becomes a clarity. as you hold the pose in stillness and silence. We invite that kind of like clarity into the mind. Maybe a emotional relief. Or you just choose to let something go. Inhale. Exhale, use your hands, press yourself back up to center. Okay, please keep your right leg, you guys, exactly as it is. Let that left leg come around, bottoms of your feet together. We have a very wide diamond. It's not tight, it's not pulled in. Use your pillow if at any point you needed a little extra support with the block. Okay, knees are butterflied open. Elbows go in front of your shin bones. Right? And the reason why they go in the front of the shin bones is because you kind of press your elbows against the shin bones and you try to pull yourself a little bit forward as then you fold in. You're just here for 1 minute as kind of a neutralizing. But this is why I want you to feel like a softness at the tops of the thighs. And then I like to feel like my back body is just like a blanket. Kind of draping over quietly. Inhale. Exhale. Nice, you guys will try to do this kind of as quietly as you can. You just prepare to change. What I mean by quietly is just like flow with little movement as you need, right? To get into it, that left shin bone comes forward, the right leg folds back, the narrow end of your bolster goes against the center. Yeah. So this is a lot of that action of like pigeon, right? In that leg, frame the pillow, lengthen first, please. So we want to lift up and out of that back right hip as you squeeze through your abdominals and where you can drop the weight of your ribs, of your head, of your torso onto the bolster. And so we want to feel a gentle unraveling. A certain settling that happens when we just drop the heavy stuff. Inhale. Exhale. Then we try to do this in as little movement as possible. Press yourself back up. You'll be turning towards what's essentially usually the back of your mat. The short end of that pillow should be right there for support as you fall back into your shavasana. Chest lifted, shoulders back. So the thighs soft, belly stretched out and long. Kind of oil and vinegar, let the things separate that you don't need. And try to stay light through the front body. Inhale, exhale. Start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch the arms up overhead. And then as you bend your knees and roll to your right, sometimes even when I come to seated, I like interlace my hands back behind me to just kind of like make sure that I remember to like lift through the chest. Kendall, sometimes I push my knuckles into the floor. Yeah, so the chest really rises. Good. And then folding the hands in front of your heart center. Yeah, so it's normal sometimes if you're like, that you're weak, your days are kind of like shaking you. And that's why, especially, I like Friday, these practices help you ground back and kind of like reclaim the day, the week as your own. Taking your thumb to your third eye, bow forward to seal your practice. Jai, Siddhartha. Bye. Thank you.